I just want to ask, I'm not opposed to the P.I.L.L method, very interested, obviously, that's why I'm here.
Mm-hmm.
But in terms of refinancing versus the P.I.L.L method, when I hear P.I.L.L method, I think, 7 years, that's kind of a long ways away. But to eliminate that mortgage for, the rest of eternity is very enticing. How would you rate refinancing versus the P.I.L.L method? With refinancing, obviously, there's some fees that you have to pay in that, closing costs and things like that just seem to add to the amount that you owe in total. They sort of add that $20,000 or whatever to your mortgage loan that you owe. So how would you say the two vary? Like, what would you just say the P.I.L.L method is more advantageous than refinancing?
So, Tara, that is a great question. So what we're talking about is not whether you should engage the P.I.L.L method or refinancing. What we're talking about is which one of these two ideas is going to save you the most money overall. And sometimes combining the two ideas will save you the most money overall. So when you're borrowing money, what we generally look at as real estate investors is, am I charging enough rent to cover the mortgage payment and still cash flow and make significant money? Is that kind of where we need to be? Is that, would you say?
Yes.
Okay, great. Now, what I've seen over the past few years is that once a person is in that position, they've bought the property right, they've got the mortgage that they need, and they are making money, they're cash flowing. What they tend to forget is how much interest they're paying each month to acquire the equity that they are acquiring. So they pay the interest and they just chalk it up as the cost of doing business because they are making money. Can I give you a quick example of what we're talking about?
Sure, please do.
All right, so I have a $400,000 mortgage on the screen right now. And so it's 400,000 at 4%. It is a multi-family building. We have right now $400,000 at 4% for 30 years. The payment is $1,909.66. That's the mortgage, and it is a multi-family building. Therefore, it is making money. Okay? So now here's what we're talking about. In the first year on this building, if we just make the minimum payment, Satira, we're going to pay that down by $7,044.15. That's how much of the loan we will pay off in the first year. It will cost $15,871.77 in interest to do that, though.
I see.
That $15,871, is that something we should ignore?
No.
Okay, so here's what we're talking about. I'll give you a quick example. Now, this is just an example. This is not how the P.I.L.L method works, because the P.I.L.L method engages technology to help individuals, to help businesses, to help churches to figure out how much of their money is going to be applied towards principal to gain equity much faster at a much cheaper cost. So right now, this $7,000 that paid off on this loan is potential equity. Would you agree to that?
Yes.
But it cost $15,871 over that year to acquire that equity. But because we were cash flowing, we kind of ignored that point. So here's my question. What if the real estate investor has some cash on the side that they use for repairs? They have a repair account. They keep that in the bank, and they said, well, I got this cash over here in reserve just in case something goes wrong and we can jump on it and get it fixed and not have a problem. And I've had known people who have 30, 40, 50, 60, even up to $100,000 in a reserve account, depending on how many doors they're managing. So here's something. Most people are unaware that if they were to borrow the $7,044.15 that they would pay over a 12-month period, if they would borrow that from themselves out of that reserve account that's making 0.1% sitting in the bank, they could prepay that money, pay off 1 year's worth of principal, be paid down to line 12 on their amortization schedule in 1 month. And what just happened? What just happened is they have paid their loan down to the very same place they would have if they had paid it naturally over 12 months, but it wouldn't cost them $15,871 to do that. it would only cost them $1,333.33 using money that was just sitting in the bank, making 0.1%. Now, how do we put that money back? So most investors that I talk to have a certain percentage of the rents that they bring in to put into a reserve account. What if we could put that $7,000 back in 3 or 4 months? Would that be preferable to just ignoring the fact that we're just making the minimum payments on the loan and cash flowing money? So would looking at this way put us in a better position? So with this in mind, let's talk in terms of, because people refinance for all sorts of reasons, okay? What would be a good reason to refinance on a building that you own? And so now that we're not talking about one way versus another, let's take a look at what would be a good reason to refinance and how we can use interest cancellation in that situation. Can you give us one?
Sure, I'll be fully transparent. I refinanced because I was jumping through a lot of hoops to get the financing I need by my closing date for the new construction. And not from a standpoint of qualifying, just from a standpoint, honestly, of dealing with the bank people there. Just it's kind of like it's America, but it's different. They operate differently. I'll put it that way. Love it though. And so it was difficult to do that. And so I actually had to, if I recall correctly, it was a hard money loan. Yeah, very not my advantage. I was paying quite a bit. And so the person I was working with, full credit to her. This was by virtue of us knowing that we were going to do this eventually, just sort of waiting for the steps to do so, if that makes sense.
Right.
Yeah, you got to be careful, Miami. But yeah, so this was kind of us finally getting to that final, what I would say, that final loan. Like we went through this twice, actually. Wasted probably a couple of tens of thousands of dollars in doing so. But this was us getting to the finish line in terms of what I would pay for the future. Like, I don't plan to refinance again. I don't feel like I need to, but learning about this P.I.L.L method is very enticing.
Well, Mr. Satira, that a lot of people do that. I mean, to get the deal done, they go out, get a hard money loan for that particular purpose, knowing that they're going to cash out refi out of that hard money loan into a long-term mortgage. And now, guess what? Don't look at that money that you paid on the hard money loan as lost. We're going to recover that now because we're going to be able to save so much more money on this new loan. Now, here's what we're talking about. We're not just talking about saving money and interest on these loans on the commercial property. Let's take a look at knowing that we'll be able to cash out refi on this property, take cash out of it, and then reinvest it in other and growing your portfolio. How's that sound?
Oh, yeah. It's going to be part two of my question just by listening to other people's conversations. Is like, I was property number 1, but I'm on number 6 right now, trying to, see how I can do this sustainably.
Well, listen, you need to hit me up on the back channel because we need to partner up already because I can.
Yeah, this is my absolute passion. Like my Pinterest 10 years ago, I was saving houses by category, and I'm living off of this. I'll try to work in the family business, but this is, I think, what will retire me. So I love real estate. Yeah.
But Don has some valuable information that can contribute to the quality of a person's life. And it only costs you a few dollars. It's his book. Why not get that?
I'm going to go through the P.I.L.L method myself with some of my investment properties. So I'm going to link up with Don, and then I'm going to sit down with him, show him my investment portfolio, and see how I can eliminate interest.